So this morning in Newswave, we had talked about Microsoft's closed-door briefing that they had where they talked about the future of their gaming division with different press outlets. And they mostly talked about lowering the barrier of entry into their Game Pass service by doing things like getting an Xbox app onto your smart TV just out of the box, and you just need like a controller to start playing after you've signed up for Game Pass. They did talk about how they're going to continue accelerating their hardware development, so they could come out things like a little Fire Stick looking thing where you just stream the games there, or maybe even a handheld device that streams the game. But it does appear that they will continue to make Xbox consoles beyond the Series X or the Series S. So people wondering, yes, the Xbox console itself isn't going anywhere. It's still worth it to them to sell you a box to get into your living room. But there was an interesting quote from Phil Spencer here that seems to be an obvious shot at Sony, and I wanted to go over that here today. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if new here to the Spawn Wave Plus channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So the first thing, I actually like when these companies fight each other and take these shots, because I want these companies to always be in competition, whether it's Sony, Nintendo, or Microsoft. And sure, a lot of times not calling each other out directly, but at times, they try to make it as obvious as possible without saying the other company's name. This one in particular was pretty straightforward. Let's actually head over here to Eurogamer, where we can see the quote from Phil Spencer, where he says, across the Xbox ecosystem, we're now reaching hundreds of millions of people every month, and our total addressable market is going to grow while others are relatively static. As the Xbox ecosystem grows in both content and total size, it becomes more valuable to both players and our partners. So right now, we're the only platform shipping games on console, PC, and cloud simultaneously. Others bring console games to PC years later, not only making people buy their hardware up front, but then charging them a second time to play on PC. And of course, all of our games are in our subscription service day one, full cross-platform included. So the idea here, and Microsoft's strategy, is to just get in as many people as possible to their ecosystem. Those are the numbers they want to report. They don't necessarily care as much about how many Xboxes have we sold. They want to report how many people are signed up to Game Pass, how many people are signing in to Xbox Live, every day. And these are numbers I'm sure that they would be reporting to partners, as Phil is saying here. As it continues to grow this ecosystem, it will become more and more valuable to third parties, for example, to put their games on Xbox. So if, let's say, they grow this ecosystem or the number of people, monthly active users, to over 100 million, and it's not affected when generations shift like it always is, right? Like when we go to the PS4 to the PS5, just as an example, we see Sony not wanting to leave the PS4 user base behind immediately because they know they have to restart with the PS5. Nintendo goes through the same thing, and Microsoft has as well. But if you have people accessing through the cloud or through PC or any of this, then you don't restart so drastically. In fact, you can probably bring a lot of them with you with a very easy transition that barely exists when it comes to having to sell them a new console if they are playing on PC or if they are going through the cloud. Now, of course, they will eventually cut off the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S, and they'll be shifting people over to the newer devices. But as they have shown, they've brought in a Series S that is cheaper, that plays all the same games, and who knows, maybe they'll continue to work that barrier of entry down when it comes to the overall price of the native hardware where you're playing these games. Now, the real reason that I'm sure Phil Spencer made this quote is because he knows there's really no way that Sony responds to this. I mean, he's saying, oh, they're bringing their games to PC years later at full price, and they do. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, they were giving away on PlayStation not too long after they put it up on Steam for like, $40 or $50. Days Gone, same deal. It was pretty cheap on PlayStation. At one point, it was like, $10 or something? They even gave it away with the PlayStation Plus collection for early adopters of the PS5, and then they put it on the PC at like, $40 or $50 or something. So Sony is trying to feel out what they can do here with the PC audience. There's clear interest on their side. They said that they have a 250% return on investment right now with Horizon Zero Dawn. So obviously, we're getting Uncharted 4 to come over, and I do believe we're going to have Sony take a shot with a game day and date. So like day one, it'll show up on PlayStation and it'll show up on PC. I think that's a long ways off for any big first-party title, because of course they want to still sell PlayStation 5 systems. So if they bring out God of War and it's just in the PlayStation ecosystem to them, that makes sense to kind of bypass the PC user base for now until years later when they can charge full price for it again. No, I think the game that they would take a chance on is a live service game. So let's just say SOCOM. Maybe they decide to do a full multiplayer live service SOCOM game. Could even be free to play. Maybe it is. And they put it on the PlayStation and PC at the same time. That might be a good way for them to kind of feel out the interest from the PC crowd through even engagement numbers, as all these companies like to do now, and see how popular it could be on the PC next to their PlayStation. And I want to stress, I do like when these companies kind of battle it out. Even with shots like these, it at least makes it so these companies are competing with each other, trying to one-up each other, and we get some pretty good services like Game Pass, right? I mean, we've seen some pretty good stuff come out of that, especially if you are on a budget, $15 a month, and you're getting access to some of these third-party titles day one, and you can look forward to a lot of the games that Microsoft has announced right now, with Halo Infinite coming up towards the end of the year, and Fable and Forza and Hellblade 2 and State of Decay 3 and so on, and they just get dropped in. That's pretty good. On Sony's side, they're obviously pushing hard to bring out these big budget blockbuster titles that take, tens of millions of dollars of investment to make sure they are the best they can be, like Ratchet and Clank, which seems like it's amazing from the reviews. I'm installing it now to check it out, but I like the idea of these companies being more aware of each other and taking these kind of shots in this competitive nature so that we just get more for our money. But let me know what you guys think about this quote from Phil Spencer here, kind of calling out Sony with some of their business practices recently. Obviously, I think he recognizes that Sony is having a bit of a PR problem now, and Microsoft had to go through some of that cross-gen backlash last year, so maybe he's like, you know what, I'll pile on a little bit here with this quote. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.